muted, Diana. I see you talking, but I don't hear you talking.
I just said hello. I'm keeping my eyes on the road, but
Well, where the hell are you going?
I'm going home. I was just at the Javits.
Damn.
Yes, I realized it's the first time I put on work shoes in it will be in 1 week. It will have been 1 year since the last time I went in person on site to do an actual job. I've done things since then, and I've done a lot of Zoom, but that was a lot. In 1 week, it will be 1 year. So I met the deadline.
Yeah. Cool. Was it fun? Look at all of you guys driving. Like the entire Northeast contingency here is going to be driving.
Yeah, you're going to get the sunset.
I'm going in for my birthday dinner, so
Is it your birthday today?
Tomorrow.
I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I don't know anybody's birthdays anymore. So happy birthday, Chris.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Am I just missing you? Are you coming in while I'm going out?
Yeah, we're driving in and you're driving out.
I'm guessing you're going. Let me take a wild guess. Sushi?
We got a private sushi suite tonight with a couple friends. Just the four of us and a chef. So should be interesting.
Kick ass.
Nice.
Oh, look at Giovanni coming on to brag. We got money. That'd be funny if you made it rain. Made it rain with Cannon's money. Woo! Look at this. Congratulations, Gio. We can't hear you, buddy.
Save that for LDI.
Yeah, LDI. Gio will make it
right off the bat. That's how you're gonna roll.
Hey, it's good to see you.
I know. It's been a little crazy.
Giovanni, have you lost half your body weight or something?
40% actually.
Holy shit, dude. You look so much thinner.
Thank you.
Is that real? 40%?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
the Italian diet.
That's a Backstreet Boy.
There you go. That's a Backstreet. He lost a Backstreet Boy.
My goal is 50%, so I could be half G.
That's pretty wild. Congratulations on all fronts.
Thank you.
On all fronts. And there's Greg Jones, who's showing everybody else his new light except me, Dick. I mean, did I say that out loud?
Ooh.
Was I muted?
Wow, he's feisty today.
If you would shut up, I was going to ask you if you have time this evening.
Wow. Ben Saltzman
Marcel, did you start drinking before the call again?
Ben Saltzman shows me his new lights. Eric Loader shows me his new lights.
Just text
Greg
me when
Jones doesn't show me his new lights.
Text me when you have 30 minutes after tonight. Are you doing your Robbins thing tomorrow?
Wait, other than me, who on this call hasn't seen Greg's new light?
I haven't. That's what we have show and tell for, isn't it?
That's a lot of people, Greg.
Wait, hold on.
You mean why we do show and tell?
All the people that specify them?
Listen, I'm gonna have a call. I'm gonna have a call with Eric Loader. I'm gonna have a call tonight.
Hello, Marcia.
And Ben afterward, and you, Marcel. How's that?
All right.
Yay! Thank you, Greg.
There's a lot of people on this call who haven't seen it. Dearson.
Yeah.
David Barber, who
I haven't even gotten a press release.
Chris, we hit creative, so you're not allowed to raise your hand. It's not my fault you didn't show up.
Yeah, but you didn't hit Chris.
You didn't hit me.
I didn't know that
creative. Who at creative has a bigger mouth than Chris?
The product launch is officially on the 17th, but I'm not taking over this call. I'm here because I missed everybody for a long time. So.
I didn't know there was a new light because David Barber didn't get a press release about it.
So it doesn't exist.
Damn.
Oh, this is a good one today.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't buy promotion like this on your new light that nobody's seen, Greg.
Can I just record this and put this on the training website?
Yeah.
So Greg, how do you get it so dim?
This thing is, that's one thing this thing is not is dim.
Well, you lower the fader, right? Isn't that how you do it, Patrick?
Bring it. Yeah.
Yikes.
It's all ball bearings nowadays.
Is it a virtual fader, like the virtual light?
It has been interesting.
It's called the VMAC. the VMac, the virtual Mac.
Virtual Mac.
It's like the virtual demo.
Can you do it from your iPhone with an app?
No.
You can do anything with an iPhone from your app.
Well, apparently, except dim this particular light that Greg has. So I don't know.
Using somebody
No, you
else's
just
software.
you just
sure.
got to do the Rob Koenig thing and have him design custom software like the JDC One, and you can just new firmware for every time you need a dimmer.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's awesome. Yeah. Let's do
I think,
that.
I think we should make Marcel show the new light after him and Greg will sit down for a few minutes, and then next week's industry call, you can do the whole shebang.
I don't think very many people have seen me do a demo by myself, like without a board op standing next to me and me going, make it do this, make it do this.
There'll be no sales. It'll go direct to Gear Source. This is the modern day lighting equivalent of going direct to TBD.
Yeah.
Demo on
That's
podcast.
awesome. That's awesome. Actually, I think at this point, all lights are going direct to Gear Source.
Wow, that's optimism.
Just call
Yeah.
Marcel. That's the easy answer to everything. Just call Marcel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny because so many people called me about this main light Canon thing that I finally just wrote a blog today and put it out there on, I pushed it out on LinkedIn this afternoon.
You need to get Michael Cannon as a host on one of your.
Yeah.
I can't even get him as a guest.
Oh, not, I mean, a guest, not a host. You're the host.
Yeah, he's a pretty private guy. I've been trying to convince him to do it forever, and
Make it
he
happen.
just,
Giovanni, in the spirit of your new acquisition there, we got you a new firearm. It's called the Cash Cannon. You can just give it the old whirl and don't go fly.
Oh my God, that's good.
Just throw some Dogecoin in there. You'll be set.
That is good right there, man.
Got your
At least
VC
we'll
right
know
here.
who's
It's
gonna
still a
have-
rough road.
who's gonna have
trust
the
me.
new lights coming out of this pandemic, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You should ask him again. He should want to talk about his new job, his new company. This would be an opportunity for him to, publicize it.
Who's that?
Mike.
Cannon.
Geo.
I Cannon.
Oh yeah. Now you know what? I mean, I talked to him yesterday about it, and he's just he's uncomfortable going too public. The press release, I think, was about as far as he wants to go right now. So Giovanni and Randy are the face of the company. That's why Giovanni's here. He probably said, Gio, you better go on
Gio.
Marcel's call this week.
No,
Gio
I
can
wanted.
tell us
I
about
actually
the
was
new
planning on coming on this week anyway, even if this wasn't happening.
Oh, good, good.
So, Gio, I have
I'm-
a question. Did Michael have to pay you 40% less since you're 40% less of your body weight?
Yeah, you don't eat as much, clearly.
Yeah, you look great, man. Holy shit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
No, you do.
you.
You
Thank
look
God I don't
really
get
good.
paid by the pound.
Damn.
They don't pay by the pound. Otherwise,
guessing-
you'd all be much heavier.
I'm
Give me
guessing your
40
Las,
pounds of flesh.
your Las Vegas expense bill is going to go down a little bit, though.
This
You
is
know,
true.
it's just,
Only
what
this-
is it? It's like salads and skinny wine or something, right?
Oh, no. Pretty much.
You could top it off
Don't
with
eat
seafood and keep your expenses high if you like. You're clever
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Mike Cannon loves high expense
No,
report, you know?
I don't have an expense account, so nobody get any. Best I can do is virtual wine.
Cannon promised me you'd take me out for a massive dinner.
Nice.
Did you get that in writing?
No, but I record all my Zoom calls, so I could just rewind back and probably find it.
There you go.
And send me that, and then I'll see what I can do.
Well, hell,
I'll
if we're playing
submit it
that
with my
game, he
expense
promised me a
report.
scuba trip.
Are we gonna do better than water containers?
There you go. That's a well-timed piece of swag there.
Rent some gear, and we'll talk.
Listen, man, this year, nothing.
Yeah, I know. But,
Nothing.
We're still dry hire. We're still pushing that. We're pushing the used sales.
We're recycling this year.
Good.
Yeah, they
I hope everyone recycles this year.
I bet.
My son wants a fancy car.
Cycled?
Yeah, which
it's going
means
to be
we have to find a
recycled.
way to make sure Marcel makes money so that he can buy a fancy car.
Could you please? That would be good. That would be very kind of you.
Did you tell me you already bought him a really fancy car that he races?
Yeah, but the problem is, that
only goes
doesn't do so good on date night, since it's only got one seat.
Wait, is he still gonna get his license from that hit and run he did?
Oh, he has his license. He got it somehow.
Oh.
Now insurance is another thing. Insurance is another thing.
Yeah, I mean, how do you insure a race car driver? I mean, you would just think they would say no. I mean, is that what you're running into?
Well, I'm not having trouble with the fact that he's a race car driver. I'm having trouble with the fact that he got in a hit and run accident in the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through while he still only had a permit.
And he was driving by himself.
And he was driving by himself.
That's called
I
off
actually
the races.
Illegal.
He hit and then he ran.
He hit
Probably
and he
the
ran
worst.
in a drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, I actually do pay attention.
Yeah, that's
At
pretty
least
good.
she didn't get pregnant.
Yeah. Well, she.
Yeah.
still
So what are you in a
sued us.
race to like be a grandfather there?
Hmm?
One seat cars.
Hmm.
One seat cars.
One seat
Yeah.
cars.
And what,
Yeah.
you can't lend them your car? Give them your car.
I don't have any cars.
You walk
I have-
everywhere.
I have a company in the live events industry. I have no cars.
Just walk it wearing your flip-flops.
Mm-hmm.
Very big Lebowski.
We have an interesting group today.
A
Perhaps I
lively
should-
group, for sure.
Perhaps I should shut up and someone else can pick on someone. Me, perhaps.
You're an easy target. That's no fun.
I thought we
Yeah.
just did with the kid, your race car.
That's nothing new.
Yeah, the first car I got from my stepfather was a $200 VW 72 Squareback. That was an awesome car.
I drove my grandmother's 76 Dodge Dart for a while. It had an AM radio.
Well, that's
in it.
cool. I mean,
Yeah, it
that's
was
cool.
cool.
I had, Claudette, do you remember this one? I had my stepfather's Datsun B210 station wagon in baby blue.
Oh, very nice.
I don't even
That's a
know what
chick
year it
magnet
was,
right
but it was
there.
old as hell.
Let's see wagon.
Yeah.
Are these first cars we're telling?
Yeah.
My
Mine-
first car was a 1962 Chevrolet Impala
Well, see, that's cool.
Like to
You
have
guys
that
had cool
now.
cars.
with surfer racks on the top, and it was nicknamed the Butkus-mobile. It was wonderful
Well-
for a high school senior.
Yeah, but who's got a worse car than mine? A Datsun baby blue Datsun B210 station wagon. Come on.
I had a
71
72
Pontiac baby blue
Squareback.
four-door.
Wait,
There you
one
go.
at a time. One at a time.
71 Pontiac, four
71
doors,
Pinto.
baby blue,
71 Pontiac. What?
Le Mans.
See, that's a nice
Not
car.
bad.
That's a nice
Yeah.
car. What was yours, Claudette?
Well, I had a Pinto.
Oh, a Pinto. I remember that
A
Pinto.
rolling hibachi.
Yeah, pretty much. My very first car was the 1968 Fairlane.
Where's
That's
your-
cool.
See, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transmission on the left.
See, mine was a
Pearson.
1960.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I just say mine was a 68 Firebird convertible, which I would kill to
Jesus
have today.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
good car.
Should have kept
Come
that
on, man.
car.
Yeah, it was from Buffalo, so a little
Hey.
suspect with the rust.
Try getting laid in a Datsun B210 station wagon, baby blue. You know.
You didn't
Yeah,
see
well,
trouble.
You got all the room.
I still wish I had my 74 MGB, which was a convertible.
Yeah.
You get laid in that too. That was fun.
Marcel, I had the Toyota version of your Datsun, which was at the time doesn't exist anymore. It was a model called the Corona, Toyota Corona station wagon.
Oh yeah, that's an ugly one
I
too.
remember that.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Ben, did you get hair?
Yeah, for a little while. I mean, until I get sick of it, then I'll shave it off again.
I just noticed that. Wow. Ben's got long hair. Look at this guy.
Yeah, it'll be gone sometime soon.
Quarantine hair.
Quarantine.
Claudette's husband has good quarantine hair.
Crazy.
He's got a full Canadian hockey player mullet going on.
Oh,
Dearson, what was your car?
Nice.
I had the vet.
Oh, for God's sake.
The
And
first
so
car was
you remember the tinting you could put on the top of the windshield with
Yes.
the logo of the car, right? So I had the vet on the top of that.
Chevette though, right?
It was a Chevette, yeah. And I used to use that line in the bars. So we'd be out, dancing with friends and trying to pick up chicks, and inevitably pull the old, hey baby, you want to get out of here and take a spin in the vet?
Yeah.
And it worked one night, and we got out the front door, got up to the vet. She saw the windshield and she starts laughing her ass off, just looks at me, goes, nice try. Turns right back around to the car.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
And I knew that the guys inside were not going to remember her walking back in. They just saw me walk out with her. So I just smoked cigarettes in the parking lot for like another hour. Then came
That's
back
funny.
in, just claiming that the deal was done.
that
Yeah, it worked
is-
like a charm.
That's funny.
But it was a 73 Chevette that wouldn't fucking die. It was a dreadful vehicle, and I just couldn't get rid of it.
I still think it's cooler than my what year was that Toyota station wagon, Claudette? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Like a 71, I think.
71, 72, something like that.
God, it was a piece of shit. And then I bought my very first vehicle, which was a van, like what was it, like a 68 or 69 Chevy van, I think. The ones that you put the little teardrop window things in the back, and a big
that'll
stereo
get
and
you
a
laid.
bed, and big wheels on the back of it.
That's
And
not
it had the
scary
engine
at
in the middle.
all.
Had the engine in the middle. So we were working on it, putting the stereo in, and the engine caught fire. Right before Claudette was actually driving me to get insurance on it. And the van burned to the ground before I got insurance, like an hour before I got insurance. So yeah.
That was
If you're wondering why I'm screwed up, just look back at my early car days.
You're blaming it on your automobiles?
I am. So nobody can beat my friggin' Toyota.
I don't know. The 72 baby blue VW squareback kind of beats the Toyota in my opinion, but
I don't know, man.
the
I don't
headlights
know.
used to just
Oh,
fall
it's not
out
a
of the
Toyota. It's a
socket.
Datsun. Datsun, not even Nissan. It's a Datsun B210. That's bad. Doesn't get any worse. Bob Harmon, what was your first car?
Oh, it was a four-door military pickup truck. It has so much
That's even
volume
pretty
in it.
cool.
Well, yeah, except that I bought it. Okay, here's the story. I bought it from a Filipino gardener.
Pearl Harbor.
It was I bought it from a Filipino gardener. Who, I mean, I bought it for $300. When a Filipino gardener gives it up, it's in seriously bad shape. So
that's funny.
actually, no, you open the story. You ready?
Nothing against any Filipinos though.
No.
If there's any Filipinos
no.
because we got to be
Oh, here-
PC.
No, here it comes. So I had this truck in the middle of the Arab Oil Embargo in the 80s. And so the big thing here, there's two big things. For 6 months, basically the United States was under an embargo from, the Arabs, and they weren't sending oil to us and the like, but they didn't realize that Hawaii was no longer a nation and part of America. And so for 6 months, while everybody else is starving on the mainland for oil, there's a headline of our newspaper, and all it says is, and we all knew what that meant. So basically now you're trying to get by on a minimal amount of gas, and how do you do these shows? And I'm like 15, 16, just starting to do gigs, and I got this pickup truck, and guys are riding in the back in the box. I've got a Radio Shack connection, so I can talk to them. They can request what music plays on the 8-track, and so I've got a pile of guys in these vehicles, and but you only got a quarter tank of gas. How are you going to do this? Well, you go up to the top of the poly and you eat the gas on the way up, but then you put it in neutral and you time all the street lights and everything on the way downhill. And, that's how you get around and save this gas. So this truck had this really unique ability. It had the ability to grind even in neutral. So while you're coasting down here, there's this constant, and so ambiguous, has this become that we're just kind of you're completely ignoring it now. For 2 years, it would go fade into the background, kind of like somebody playing television or the TV and talking.
Yeah.
And we're going down the poly on the windward side, and there's this really notorious hairpin turn. And while we're sitting there and everybody's all excited, having the usual conversations, as you do when you're younger, and suddenly there's that grinding noise came to a complete thwack stop. And we're all I had just enough time to do a Sam Peckinpah, like look around the expressions of everybody going, uh-oh. This is bad. And funny. So, and that's followed by some engine part goes boof, like aliens through the hood, ripping the rope I have tying it down, and it's like flailing like this, and we're just billowing smoke. And I'm propped up in the chair looking through this hole, and I aim it up what's called a runaway truck ramp, and up this mountainside, and everybody's has gone from, oh my God, we're going to die, to, oh my God, we lived through that.
That's hilarious.
And so, hold on.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He's probably
he's got the part.
Yeah, it's like,
of course it's show and tell.
Yeah, here's the hood.
Of course he's got the part.
Here's the scar he got from it.
Jesus Christ.
That's the back of my box. We took this and the license plates off the vehicle.
That is so funny.
I want to know how Bob has space to keep gear.
I know.
Bob's wife is a
Warehouse
saint.
in his backyard.
Bob, your wife is a saint putting up with you, because how many rooms of this shit do you have?
Oh my God.
Lots of them.
Well, you know what?
Uh-oh. You had that.
I'm not daring you or anything.
Well,
I'm not
no.
daring you.
Well, I just scored this yesterday.
That's pretty cool.
It's made of iron. So it weighs like 40 pounds.
At some point, don't you come home with stuff and go, where am I going to put this?
No.
That's why I bought a warehouse.
Oh, nice.
See, I told you he had a warehouse in the back. I was right.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's
David Barber, what was your first car?
I can't remember. It only cost $100, and my father bought it for me to drive to the Ford plant every night. And I don't know. I think it was an Impala, but I'm not sure.
There's probably a Chevy just to piss the Ford people off.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, he bought it from his Pontiac dealer friend, so I don't know. But it barely moved. It was always breaking down.
If you think that a Datsun B210 station wagon moved, I mean, it didn't move. I did learn to drive a stick, though, so that was good.
Oh, I could never do that.
Steve Warren, what was your first car? Come on, Steve.
You probably won't know it.
Yeah.
A Renault
Jaguar.
of some type.
Holy shit. I didn't even know that was Steve's photo. I was like, who's that extremely tan man?
He just put the thing on and went to bed. He started the Zoom call, put his photo background thing up, and went to bed. Damn you, Steve.
You get that tan. That's not tan. That's an allergic reaction to licking frogs.
Oh.
Guys, on the plus side, I've finished my stack of live design or PLSN and Lighting and Sound America, so I can finally move forward.
That's good. Yeah, you wouldn't want to move forward without that.
No, it's just it was taking up a lot of desk space.
Yeah.
Who's got vaccinated?
Yay!
Oh, yeah?
Who did?
Feto.
I was just asking.
Hey,
Oh, I thought you said you did.
No, I said who got vaccinated.
Oh.
me.
Marsha, yeah.
Anybody have any wacky
Bob Harmon.
I hear it's women under 50 are having the worst reactions on their second shot.
I was vaccinated yesterday.
Oh,
You feeling
no
all right?
issues?
I feel fine. And the first car was a 66 mint condition 250S Mercedes.
Jesus Christ.
Wait.
What were you like 40?
That was at 16. It was a gift from my father.
God
Nice.
damn.
Ding, ding,
Nice.
ding. You get the prize.
Can your dad adopt us all?
He's done his whole life. He has bought, restored, and only been Mercedes.
Oh, that's
Chris,
cool.
did you happen to get the Johnson & Johnson single shot or?
No. I got the start of the 2-shot one.
Wow.
Holy shit,
What
Steve
the
Warren,
fuck?
what the hell is
What the
going
fuck?
on, dude?
Man.
Warren's giving us
Steve's on some funky
I
frog
licked the
blood
code.
shit
I'm
tonight.
telling you, Marcel, I had some small piece of paper about 4 hours ago, and I just don't know what happened.
Jesus Christ.
I swear
Hey,
to God, I
watch
don't know what happened.
watch out for the
What
brown
fuck's going on with
acid,
my
man.
camera? Don't be
Don't
joking,
take
mate.
the brown acid, dude.
It was a vain attempt to mail in his vat.
Aha. Aha. I still can't hear you.
We can hear you.
I don't like psychedelic Steve.
We can hear you.
How could there be an audio problem amongst so many LDs?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Steve,
Ah.
can you hear us now?
Fantastic. How is everyone?
Steve,
You know
what was
That's
your
really
first
hurt.
car?
Well, forget that. I was listening to people talk about me while you can't find your controls, you can't find the camera, you can't find the speaker. You fuckers, man. That was like some bad dream.
What was your first car, Steve?
What was worse is I joined the meeting on time, and then some friend called me who was speaking incredibly fast. You know, we're in this business. We all have friends who occasionally speak very, very fast, really intensely.
Yeah, I got this one. His name is Steve Warren.
I had to jump. That was me at one time. Yes.
Mm.
No longer. Austin 1100. I bought from this. Bought from an old lady. Her husband had died. Bought it for 50 quid. Yeah, 50 pounds. Took it out of her garage. Had to bump start it. It was a manual, so it was easy to jump start. Just
I gotta
push it
look
down
at.
the road.
I gotta Google a picture of an Austin 1100
Yeah.
because I don't know what that looks like.
Ran on fresh air, man. As soon as we started buying bigger cars, I was broke all the time.
What year was
There's
it?
a lesson there. You've disappeared again. What the fuck?
What year was it? Steve.
I give up.
Earth to Steve.
I go home. Go to bed.
Hey, Steve. This is comical just listening to Steve.
Listening to him talk to himself.
We can hear you.
You need little cardboard signs. We can hear you.
This is a nice little insight into the software coding of an Evo console.
I'd like to point out this is an audio.
Played so much.
This is 100% an audio problem.
Lighting is obviously perfect.
It is.
You know,
I don't expect time code to work so well.
Wait a second here. When God said, "Let there be light," it means the audio was already functioning.
That's a good one. Steve, what year was the Austin 1100?
Oh wow! Don't do that, mate. Wow. 1980. I think I had it in 80. Was it 82? Something like no, maybe 1980. I had it. It was already old. I mean, I'm talking about. It must have been built in like I don't know.
Well, I meant what
76.
year was the car, not what year did you have it.
Yeah, what year was it built? I mean, it was probably
Yeah.
new in 76, something like that. Yeah, 75,
76.
74.
Okay, I'm looking up 1976.
Oh,
Austin
1100.
1100. Oh, that's a fucking ugly car.
It is an ugly car.
That is an ugly ass car right
who
there.
was it? Was it David said you were in an Impala? You're like, you're posh, man. What do you mean your first car was an Impala? I mean, Jesus. That's like you could work your way up to that.
I don't even remember. I think it was an Impala. It was like 5 or 6 years old. It cost $100 when he bought it.
That's okay. All right.
Marsha had
Even
the
in
good-
1976 was like not much money.
That's a good deal.
I had a 62 Impala, but it was a hand-me-down.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh,
it was
that'd
the
be great.
family- It was the family car, and I got my driver's license, and my dad went out and bought my mom a brand new Impala 71, and I got the 62. It was a hand-me-down.
That was still a great era for the Impalas, not like the more recent one.
No, it was a great era. They were like almost boats. It was so
Yeah.
old have proper shoulder strap seat belts. I remember the seat belts used to roll and always end up on the floor in the back seat, all crumpled up in a pile. And the coolest thing about the car when you were driving, you could pull the key out of the ignition while you were driving. It didn't turn the engine off. It was so bizarre.
You can do that with every car now.
Well, you don't
That is
need
an ugly car, Steve.
now. You just need a little fob.
Yes, ma'am.
What happens if you walk away with the fob? Like, does the car turn off or does it stay running?
Mine honks at you and it drives me crazy.
It honks and it'll turn off.
Yeah,
mine doesn't turn off.
Mine doesn't turn off. Mine still keeps going.
It will. It times itself out.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Well, actually,
try that out
haven't
tomorrow.
tried it.
a friend who drove to work one day, parked in the parking lot downtown, and went to work, worked all day, came back out, and his truck was still running in the parking lot. after he left.
That's smart.
Mine won't allow you to shift the shifter if your fob is in the car.
Huh.
Yeah, and the Ford ones, they usually time out in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or breakdown.
Well, we don't all have Shelbys, so.
I've been having a problem, and I think it has to do with parking garages, but apparently there's something with the frequency of other people's fobs when they go to unlock their car.
The other Bentleys
signal.
are arguing with yours. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
exactly. And it's draining the battery. So like in 3 days, the battery will be completely drained and it needs to be jumped. It's really.
That happens in the impound lot.
How come I assumed there was like a punchline coming in that? It just seemed like you were going somewhere.
No. This was real.
What car? What kind of car?
This one's a Jaguar F-Type, but I've had it with this. I had it with a Porsche Cayman.
Is that the Ford Jaguar or the real Jaguar?
The real Jaguar.
Weren't they built on the Ford? Weren't they built on the Ford Taurus chassis for a bunch of years?
Way back, yeah. No, this is the new ones from. I think they're from
Tata.
Do you have one of those battery pack jumpers so that you don't have to ask somebody else for help?
Those are good.
Yeah.
Pearson,
I got like one of the little tiny ones that's like this big and this thick.
Yeah, I have it's like a USB charge one that keeping the motorcycle.
Pearson, can't you just go get them to do a refrequency of your thing?
You can't rechip them. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah,
each car has its own EIN basically, and they're programmed into the computer. So if you go to the dealer, like we've got the new BMW, and it's the same fucking problem, kind of similar. But apparently, all these new cars were using the same technology, and we all have the same problem on them. But it's kind of hard to refreak the car.
Huh?
Or expensive, I should say.
I'm in a parking garage with hundreds of other cars, so they're all sort of the same shit. So
Can't have that many different frequencies.
So you could just pick one every day, right? You just hit your unlock button, and whichever one unlocks, you
I wish
drive away in that one.
My KTM motorcycle has rolling frequencies that change.
Nice. Dearson, did you see the I'm sure you saw the Sands article today.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm curious what's going to happen because Global got them, and they're notorious for buying a property and flipping it 2 years later. So as soon as everything's back to normal.
But do you think it's the old man died and they sold?
No, he was talking about that months before he passed.
Okay.
They were already
they were talking about getting out of the U.S. They're just worried. They're just concentrating on their Asian properties now.
Yeah,
I read an article
Las Vegas only represents 10% of global income for them, so it's it really nothing.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were that big outside of the U.S.
Yeah, Macau, Singapore, are absolutely.
Yeah. Well, last time I was in Macau, none of the big American casinos were there yet. I mean, this was like, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Yeah, Shelley.
And then after that, Wynn and all these other companies went over there.
Yeah, bunch of properties there, and he's got Marina Bay Sands, so that's the largest. I mean, you can fit 6 Las Vegas casino floors on the gaming levels of Marina Bay Sands. It's absolutely massive. Really, really cool. But I think they stand a good chance to keep the valuation going if they manage it properly, because it was Leon Black. It was the CEO of Global, and he stepped down just in January because he was tied in with Jeffrey Epstein, and he paid Epstein $158 million, I think. That was questionable, and it was all about hiding tax money. And so
there's a real surprise.
Yeah, I think I think they were holding off until all of that went through before they were going to take on a major property. But then he's buying something else today. Michael's Craft Stores.
Who is?
Leon Black, who was the CEO of Global, or Apollo, is it Apollo Global, I think is the name of the firm that bought the properties.
I forget what they're called.
So he was a CEO of that, stepped down with the Epstein stuff, and then he's now got his own firm and just apparently purchased all the Michael's Craft Store chain.
Because that seems like an incredible company to own right now. I don't know.
It's actually popping.
It's cranking right now.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Because everybody's sitting
at home,
right?
dicking around, like making craft projects.
It's like amazing. Like you buy, you go and buy frames. Like I framed up a bunch of tour posters, and they're like $60 a pop, but they magically have like these ridiculous sales where it's like buy one, get one, buy one half off, get another one for $20. And I think it's like a Kohl's. Like they just launder money through that company.
Yeah, there's like 90% profit margins.
Well, boy, do they have the right new guy.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the same thing with Home Depot and Lowe's right now, though. They're having record years because everybody's home fixing up their houses. You go in there and half the shit you need is gone.
Yeah.
Well, the one that still blows me away is like Sub-Zero, Viking, Wolf, all like the most expensive appliances. You're on back order for months. Like if you wanted to redo your kitchen, you might have to wait 2 months to get
all
the appliances.
Is that the import bullshit that's going on?
No, it's just that they're oversold.
Oh wow.
Yeah, oversold. Real estate market's skyrocketing, and anybody that was putting off doing a major renovation is going for it now because they have the time.
Yeah.
Either that.
So what do you guys think of the news that's been happening in the last week or so, like the Rapinoe stuff over the last weekend? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Is it anything but more conjecture at this point? I mean,
well, I don't know. I mean, Rapinoe's interesting because I think there's some, what would you call it? There's a possibility of some, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know that his intentions are great in the PR that he's pushing out right now, because he's saying, yes, we're absolutely doing stuff in the summer. We're absolutely going to be doing touring by the end of the year. But then right next to it, you read, that their stock is doing really, really well.
Well, Live Nation's doing really well right now.
They took another $500 million from Saudi Arabia, and Rapinoe and the board structure has always been to put out releases, kind of like dipping their toes in the water to see what kind of blow.
Oh, you muted yourself, Chris.
Yeah, so kind of like they check to see what kind of blowback they're going to get. Kind of like the idea of, hey, we're going to require this to get in shows. We're going to require that. But we know that certain genres are going to be like, fuck that. It's going to affect their ticket sales, so they're not going to go that route. The other thing they do say, there will in fact be touring, but they're not telling you how scalable that is or at what size they're going to do it.
Right.
They just need to put the word out there that they're going to do it. So New York right now, they just started doing these quote unquote, to get into Madison Square Gardens or anywhere else, you have to show that you're
Passports.
vaccinated, right, or having. So now here's the problem. I've been on a lot of these calls with a lot of these people and government officials, and we said, okay, so we know that our all access passes and t-shirts, that there's a van in every fucking parking lot, can recreate our all access pass in 20 minutes. Yeah. All they need is one person on the inside. So, how securable is this? How nationwide are you going to vet this? Who's paying for this app that 300 million Americans are going to use, or even 100 million Americans are going to use? How quick's that rollout going to be, considering how far behind you are on this? And then you've got 50 states that don't like each other, don't like the government. The South's already a fucking shit show, always has been.
Yeah.
So all of this really is, as much as somebody said conjecture, it's speculation, and speculation's just that. But to appease the $1 billion out of Saudi Arabia, that should be the part most people are talking about. That Live Nation is now taking upwards of $1 billion from the Saudi Arabian government. Okay,
yeah, that's true.
They should also be looking at the fact that the giant shows that Live Nation has been doing in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and all this, how much of our venues that they own or currently in will be held by these out-of-country constituents. Side two of that is all the venues are trying to figure out right now, like the big question nobody's fucking talking about is you're about to have 1 million homes foreclosed on. Millions of people are about to have 100-point credit hit, you know what I mean, to their credit rating. 1 million cars repossessed. The litigation that's about to hit this country is going to be insane. Well, along with that litigation were all these Live Nation partner venues that they invested in sound system or lighting or anything else. Well, those agreements were that Live Nation agreed to put X amount of shows in those venues, right? Now, based on COVID, they're in breach. Now, is that now go to litigation because there's no new contract ratified and all these venues are now out of those contracts? Because each one of those is going to need to be resorted out and ratified again. You take it a step further past the venues that they're in, that they are now in breach of contract with, is okay, how much can they put back into that going out? Is the other side of that coin that they just can't fucking answer at this time. Yeah. So there's all sorts of stuff.
No, those are really, really good points.
Chris,
really
you're saying that those contracts don't have force majeure clauses to cover this?
Well, no. So here's the problem. So Live Nation currently, and this is another one to watch real close. Live Nation, and I believe it's the Philadelphia Eagles, are currently involved in a lawsuit with Factory Mutual Insurance. This lawsuit is questioning that right now. The insurance company, like every insurance company does, says we're not paying. Their argument is that there was no physical damage to anything to Live Nation or the Eagles based upon COVID. Well, the other side of the coin is arguing, no, the policy was supposed to be for fiscal damages coming out of this, and that's why they got the policy. So everybody's watching that closely because it's going to define how we look. Once and for all, force majeure now needs to be sorted out. What does the language mean? How are we taking the verbiage forward? This is also now going to somewhat dictate how are we going to handle shows being underwritten going forward. So we know that you can no longer, like if you did all the tracing courses and all that, here's the biggest problem. There was a big test done. This is many, many decades ago at UCLA where a professor was talking, something runs out on the stage, does something, runs off, and they stop everybody and say, okay, what did you see? And people saw somebody in an ape suit, or the person was 6 feet, or he was black, he was Mexican, it was 2 feet, he had a pink purse, to prove that eyewitnesses don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Well, that same theory holds true that in tracing, people seem to omit or forget that, oh, I stopped for gas at the gas station, may have been infected there. Or I went to a convenience store to get cigarettes, may have been infected there. So to hold somebody to underwriting, for COVID tracing against a large gathering, you don't have that. The biggest conversations we're having now are that if you're asymptomatic, temperature doesn't mean shit, number one. Number two, you can get 3 electric thermometers, put them next to each other. They're measuring devices, right? They're all calibrated differently. You can have up to a 3-degree variance, which we've proven on that one as well. So each one of these facets starts showing it to be bullshit. The rapid testing, we know that the marketing says 94% accurate. Well, they don't tell you the low level, which can be as low as 50%, meaning you're letting 1 to 2 out of every 5 in with a possible false negative. So the idea of getting sponsors to, do rapid testing at 15-minute intervals, then the next problem that everybody's looking at, and I'll shut up after this one, is local 1, local 2, and all these venues, Are they going to fucking charge us and possibly go into penalty of meal penalties or overtime hours to be there 2 hours early to deal with the COVID compliances? Well, currently in Los Angeles, that has happened and has pushed some productions into overtime because the fucking unions don't want to play ball and work as a fucking team. It's like people asking vendors, well, you're going to have to give me a deal, coming out. It's like, why? The vendors' fucking bills didn't change. So there's still way too much that needs to be sorted out from the production and logistics aspects here. And these are the conversations a lot of
yeah,
us.
but Chris, don't you think though that, I mean, by the way, that's all really good information and thank you for sharing that. But don't you think that by us poking holes in absolutely every possible scenario, we're just keeping everyone from going back to work? Like, I think at some point, what we need is an entrepreneur flyer to come in and go, fuck you guys, I'm going to create, a tour of festivals in Florida or in Texas or in some other friendly state.
So here's the current problem. In the discussions with low-level CDC people that are involved in our calls, we start looking at this. You know that you live in a very litigious society. You know that every move you make in business is to cover your ass, correct? So the poking of holes is to live well, and if you don't, you might want to rethink that depending on what you do. But liability is real, and currently, right now, liability is the biggest playing card because we do live in that litigious society. As far as that wild card flyer, if you listen to people, and I don't care which side of the fucking narrative of politics anybody's on here, but the point remains is that we had a shitload of massive testing sites, so we knew what test results were going and the numbers were going.
Yeah.
Well, the numbers have dropped, but guess what? Also, there's no big testing sites doing the testing because they turn into vaccine sites. So you're not getting the updated numbers of how many are still testing positive. So currently right now, to err on the side of caution so we don't get completely fucked and shut down completely again, it's smart to poke holes, play it out so that as we advance, we're advancing with a clue. Right now, we need to play devil's advocate to everything and at least have the fundamental understandings of each one of these possible cons and or pros so that we're moving forward with the most possible knowledge all the way around the situation.
So let me ask you this, Chris. So why are sports different than live events?
Because they have the fucking television funding and the money from the television.
No, I'm not talking about that, Chris. I'm talking about why can sports have fans and live events can't?
They can't. So here's the deal.
They do in almost every state now.
Okay, so let's take the Super Bowl, right? You had X amount of people in a stadium that holds tens of fucking thousands. The rest were paid cardboard cutouts.
But they had over 20,000 people.
They had less than 20,000. 20,000.
They had over 20,000.
That was the entire contingency in a stadium that holds what?
60,000.
60,000, right? So now let's scale.
No, but the point is, we would take 20,000 people in a concert.
You can't do that because again, your union minimums and your production to go into a venue that holds that much to put that many fucking people in there won't pencil out. The other side of the coin here is that the NFL, again, has so much money in their fucking rights for television that they could staff and hold people to those containment areas. You get a fucking country show in Texas with 20,000 people. In less than 2 beers, all bets are off of any fucking social distancing, masks, or any other fucking criteria you might want to throw at it. The other problem with that is, as soon as you try to throw that to a concert mentality, you're going to lose ticket sales. If you try to hold people saying, we're going to do this or that. So New York right now, everything they're doing is socially distanced. They're not making money. The drive-in shows don't make any fucking money. The socially distant shows don't make any fucking money.
No, I completely agree with you on that.
MSG is like 6,000 people. Barclays is like 6,000 people.
Total.
No, those are impossible. I mean, they're
but you can't. The problem is even at the 20,000 in those big stadiums, by the time you look at your line item budgets to put it on in a stadium, just to open the fucking doors of that stadium costs X. Once you throw that into a concert budget, any manager and artist is going to look at the bottom line going, I'm not going through it for that. And then you still need somebody to underwrite it.
Yeah, but again, Chris, it's always easier to say, no, we can't, than yes, but how? I mean, and
well, we're talking yes, but how? But we also have to be realistic and again be aware of the litigious society we live in. And then you still have to have an artist to say yes. a lot of large artists right now aren't comfortable and are outright saying no. Florida has been throwing big numbers at artists and they're going, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. The other thing is, and you need to, I actually just checked the Live Nation stock at the height of 2019. Their stock only hit $74.
Yeah, it's
right now it's $91.
Okay, so tell me, are we not doing shows because they can't, or because it's more profitable for them not to?
It's more profitable for them to hold on to, like, get ticket sales and hold on to that money. Like, that's what they're going to do.
Well, that's been their MO always. If they don't cancel the show, they don't have to whatever. And as long as they've got rolling hold dates, they can cancel that money.
I mean, they got Red Rocks. They have shows that they're selling. Jones Beach, they're selling tickets for right now.
All socially distanced. William Fowler at Jones Beach, who's a good friend of mine, we talk frequently about this as well. But here's the other side of it. Live Nation is in direct, I mean, you're talking about a large company, of course. They're in direct contact with every state's representatives. They're not going to move in those states unless it's profitable across the board. If there's a chance that it could hurt them further than it does now, they're not going to do it. And the only silent one you're seeing right now, if you notice, AEG, almost equally as big, is pretty fucking quiet, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay. So you got to look at this. AEG has those same contacts, has the same hundreds of fucking millions of dollars vested in this, and their mouth is shut. That speaks volumes. Live Nation's always been the mouthy kid on the block, always been the big buck. Well, they got hurt in this. They did. They got hurt. They had to take a bunch of fucking money. Now they had to take a bunch of money from a different country. Couldn't even get it here. They took it from Saudi Arabia. So there's a lot of aspects here to look at.
Yeah, I don't know how much they got hurt. I don't know that they got hurt.
They got hurt.
I think their employees got hurt, but up.
They're still hemorrhaging.
Okay. Rapido ain't hurting.
Yeah, they're still hemorrhaging $80 million a month just to keep their skeleton staff. That's what they hemorrhage, $80 million a month. So
Yeah,
where do you think where are they getting that
offset
income?
that with what they're raising on their stock prices?
Yeah, but they also have like they're holding over $800 million in ticket sales right now from shows that they refuse to cancel.
Sure they are. But, you know, at $80 million a month, 800 million doesn't go so fucking far.
Well,
but Chris, what's your answer? Like, I mean, because, you know, for me, 90% of the companies in this industry can't hold on like Live Nation can. So,
you're
what's the
absolutely
answer?
right. You're absolutely
What's
right. So we talk about that also frequently. There's going to be a lot of vendors that aren't fucking solvent. We're watching vendors right now. We're seeing the auctions of gear. There are vendors shutting down. It's happening, you know, and it's going to continue to happen. The current answer, unfortunately, the optics aren't there. Generally, everybody says add 90 days to anything the government says. We know that the first shows back are going to be the two guys with acoustics in the corner of the pub, the small van bands that don't give a shit, the little clubs that just need to give drinks across the fucking bar. Those are going to be, it's not going to be an on-off switch. It's going to be a dimmer switch, you know, that slowly rises up, bringing everything back. But your gauge, again, when you look at the metrics of things, they announced one fucking show, and it was for 2022 that they pulled $1 million of sales on. AEG isn't announcing a damn thing. Okay, Europe is still, a bunch of festivals are open. If you look at Leeds and shit like that and Reading, it's happening, but it's happening with European artists because nobody's going over. So the optics aren't there. If anything, we're looking, in our opinion, a lot of ours opinion, we're looking at late Q3, Q4 to start seeing sub movement smaller. But for what we all want to see, it's 2022.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, look where we're at right now, and they're still saying adult. This is the government talking. Adults should be immunized by the end of May. So we know they've never hit a fucking mark yet.
No. They said we'll have the shots.
Yeah, right.
They won't be in there.
Right. Won't be right. You're right. Won't be immunized. But that also, the majority of ticket buyers too, or for some markets, are under the age of fucking 18, aren't adults, and who knows when they're going to get theirs. then you have to have that conversation about disposable income of all these people that are about to get fucking evicted,
Yeah,
foreclosed.
the income's there. I think the income's there. Tickets will sell. Tickets aren't going to sell for B and C artists, maybe, as well as they will for, if Taylor Swift puts a tour on sale, Taylor Swift's going to sell out her shows. If all the big bands are going to sell. They're not going to have it. The Stones would sell. AC/DC would sell. Aerosmith will sell. All of the big bands are going to sell. I don't like the fact that Leeds and Reading sold out instantly didn't surprise me at all, because people are going to go see shows and there is
Right.
disposable
But
income.
did you see the lineup of those?
Have what do you mean? No, but I mean, I don't buy the disposable income argument. I just don't, because iPhones are hitting record sales this year with their iPhone 12, which is not much better than the iPhone 11 or the iPhone 10, which I still have. So people have money to spend.
I get the metrics that you're holding. I disagree a little bit, because iPhone sales, first off, were starting right at the start of this before everybody knew it was going to go bad, and you also pay for a monthly, and it's like $20 a fucking month, compared to somebody saying I've got an extra $300 to go to a fucking show right now. I think you'd be some families are a little more fucked than you might think, and especially when this last stimulus is the last. There is no more, and when companies still aren't coming back and jobs still aren't there, I think it will be real. And I think the litigation that's going to hit this country is very fucking real.
Well, I think we've got bigger problems than that. I think our bigger problems are companies going out of business and debt. One of my biggest concerns right now in our industry is a very real concern. So I most of the problems you're explaining are related to big public companies, Live Nation, AEG, big companies that can sustain, and therefore they're making decisions for different reasons. The other side of all of this is most of us work for, other than Greg Jones, who works for Samsung, most of us work for companies who have limited budgets, who, are going to go bankrupt if something doesn't happen at some point, right? And the reality is, even when the skies go blue again, these companies are now saddled with, gazillions of dollars in debt. And I worry about that, because the other thing is that not only do companies need to have enough capital to sustain all of this, but they need to come out the other end. Like when the sky goes blue again, who's got money to market? Who's got money to hire sales guys and account executives to go out and get artists to sign on with them, or, whatever. So, we can't come out of all of this with just PRG and Solotech and 4Wall. We have to have the rest of the companies too. Sorry, Jeff, and if there's anyone from PRG or Solotech
while I
here,
agree with you, beyond corporate events and municipalities, what Live Nation and AEG decide to do directly affects you.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
So as much as you're saying the arguments only affect them, well, it's the trickle down theory that we need to see what they're going to do for all of these vendors to do what they do. So we are, in essence, holding them as the metric for a good portion of all these vendors. Look, vendors, the reality is vendors are going to fucking close. A lot of them aren't going to make it. There's no way to tiptoe around that fucking conversation, just like venue owners.
But at the same time, I mean, obviously, Live Nation and AEG and other companies need to be aware of that, because if they want to put their artists out on tour next year and half the vendors have gone out of business because they can't afford to sustain this anymore, that's going to be a problem for Live Nation and AEG. And yes, entrepreneurs will go start a new bus company or a new trucking company or a new lighting company or whatever, but I mean, it's just not this easy. I think
I get it, but I'm not understanding.
There's a common sense side of all of this.
I'm not understanding what you expect them to do. They're not going to risk any exposure to help save vendors. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, then I mean, the world must go on, as best we can without them. So, I've talked to a lot of people who are talking about shed tours and festival shows in Texas and Florida and other states. And I don't know, like I've always been we got to figure out how to do it, not discuss the reasons why we can't.
Well, we're trying to figure out how to do it, but we also need enough people to do it. We can't make a tour just out of fucking Florida and Texas.
Yeah, but maybe it's not a tour. Maybe it's festival shows. Maybe it's, back to the old days of one-offs. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but
Oh, I'm not
I
saying
just
you
don't
do. Hey,
accept.
look,
I don't
one of the
accept we
key
have to
things.
sit on our hands till 2022.
Well,
We can't
nobody's
do
saying that, but one of the key things we say is that we don't have the answers, but we need to open the dialogue so that we could start figuring out a way to do it. But we also can't tiptoe around the facts while we're having that dialogue. It's going to be a tough decision. It's going to piss a lot of people off. And again, point blank, a lot of vendors will not survive. But at the same token, neither will fucking restaurant owners, bar owners, car dealerships. I mean, it's a global fucking pandemic. It's affecting everybody, not just our industry that's trying to figure out how to do this. Just like, when you heard those erroneous numbers of how many trillions of dollars and tens of millions of us are, well, you might as well count the guys that put the fucking stop signs and street lights up that help us find our way to the show. We're all in it. But, to look at how we're going, like I said earlier, the optics just aren't there right now to decide. You could go do a festival in Florida. I think right now you'd be hard pressed to find certain artists to do it outside the country market, or artists that, may not be interested. But on the whole, most artists are saying no.
I don't know. I'm hearing differently.
He's not wrong. Marcel, he's not wrong. I mean,
I mean, certainly there's a lot of artists, but then what happens is every time I do one of these Zoom calls, and not just mine, but other people's Zoom calls, then I get like 4 text messages right after going, by the way, my artist is going into rehearsals in May. By the way, my artist is booking dates right now for a residency in Las Vegas. By the way, my artist is doing this.
I get the same ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. So why doesn't anybody say it publicly?
I had one starting that was booked in April to go into Third Encore, and they were going to start pre-production. And this morning the email came saying, "Oh, so we're going to push Third Encore to June." Just like hold dates. Everybody's being very positive.
But Chris, is that because it's dangerous, or because it's just easier to say no than it is to find a way to say yes?
I think the metrics of their agents, their accountants, and their managers are looking at it and hoping the optics were going to be clear, or we were going to get better news. And everybody's weighing upon what everybody else does, just like all the hold dates that keep getting push. It's not about wanting to say no. Everybody wants to go to fucking work. But again, you can't right now. You can to little bits. Might help a vendor do one festival, going to save it? I don't think so.
Anybody else have any input on this? Because I feel like me and Chris have kind of just gone into a personal conversation here.
I mean, could it also be the rebirth of the independent promoter? You know what I mean? Like, fuck.
I hope so.
It is a shitload of regional reps for Live Nation have opened their own shops, trying to bring back the small regional multi-day.
I got Larry Richter on my podcast next week, and I'm going to ask him exactly these questions.
I mean, it just seems like I could tell you now, like in New York, they're saying 150 to 200 people in a small cap venue. And
who's going to make any money there, though?
You're not going to make any money. So the question is, do they do like the chain smokers show like I worked on last summer out in the Hamptons? Like, do they do kind of these drive-in concerts? But now that we kind of got through a season and saw how it works, do we like do those type of shows?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're the tail trying to wag the dog, and it's just never going to work. So, and the dog is either Kiss or the Rolling Stones or whoever, Taylor Swift, or the dog is Cisco and Apple and all of these big corporations who aren't doing their conferences and the big trade shows and stuff. So we can't force anybody to do anything. And for big companies, the challenge is right now, because of the government and the political atmosphere that we're in and all of the other things, it's easier to just say, yeah, you know what, we're going to push this to next year.
Yeah, but even if they wanted to do something right now.
You keep saying easier, but is there a side of it that they just might feel it's safer not to, instead of using the verbiage of easier?
No, I think it's easier. I think it's just easier.
So you don't think there's any risk involved?
No.
What about that article that Michael sent yesterday?
I think you can safely do these events. I think you can do it safely.
But you
So
can't do an event
need-
without insurance.
Wait, no need for vaccines, no need for nothing. The virus isn't a problem.
I didn't say that, Chris. I just said I think the problem is that it's easier, not I don't think we're talking about safety anymore. I think we're talking about optics, which was a word that you used earlier. I think we're talking about perception. I think we're talking about politics. I don't think we're talking about safety anymore. This isn't even about safety anymore. It isn't, because we know we can safely do events. Look at the protests. Look at the freaking president that did all the what were those things called? Rallies. Look at all of these events where there's 20, 50, 100,000 people and nothing seemed to happen.
Whoa. So hold on. I'm going to interrupt you right there, because all those things happen, yes, but you have absolutely no correlation of when those people went home, of how many of those positive cases in their individual states were direct results of them.
Yeah,
you can't
sorry,
say
Chris,
one way or the other.
Yeah, I just, sorry. I don't know. I don't agree with you. And for me, it's not even political at this point. It's just based on reality and common sense. Like, I live in Florida, and in Florida, we've been open pretty much the entire time. And, I could count on half a hand the number of people I know who got sick.
That's funny. I can count more than one hand of people I know that died.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sorry for that. That's terrible. That's really terrible. But
so just to be clear here, because my understanding of how we got into this fucking mess to begin with was because of some virus that put us in a pandemic. And the reason why we do things like wear masks and distance and only bring 10% capacity, and why none of us are working, is because we're trying to get over this horrible pandemic. And part of the reason why we're in my opinion, only my opinion, why our country is in a shit show is because every state is doing what it wants willy-nilly. Marcel, you and I live in the same state. We live probably 45 or 50 miles away from each other in different counties. And we have completely different perceptions of what's going on with this disease in our respective states. And it's okay. We are allowed to have those perceptions. But it seems to me that my big question here is, shouldn't the reason for any of the decisions we make be based on getting past a deadly disease that gave us something to deal with, that killed over 500,000 people in our country alone? And isn't that, or shouldn't that be the motivating factor to any decisions that are made?
Yeah, Marcia, that's all great. And I'm sorry to stop you, but A, it's not a disease, it's a virus. And B,
I'm sorry. Virus.
Yeah, no, and B, I mean, how deadly it is, hasn't necessarily reached my ears or my mind.
Well, I don't know.
It's
14,000.
okay. Again. So let's.
More than in 3.
Marcia, listen to me right now. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to argue with you about this, okay? Because we could talk about a million other things that are also just as deadly. So yes, it's a problem. And I believe we've dealt with the problem to the best of our ability. We're making shit up and throwing it at the wall as best we can. And I think there's been a reason for masks. I think there's been a reason for social distancing. I think there's a reason for vaccines. There's reasons for all of these things. But if we're going to wait until this thing has completely been obliterated, we're all going to die. Our businesses are going to die, and we're going to be on fucking welfare, Marcia. So we can't wait for that. Anyways, Marcia, I don't want to argue, okay?
Can you, I'm not arguing with you. I'd like to have a conversation. You and Chris had a very interesting conversation. I think Chris is an amazingly brilliant man. I've really enjoyed his input. And all I'm saying is, whatever choices are made, clearly I live in a state where all bets are off, where they could fill Hard Rock Stadium with 80,000 people if they want to. It's my choice to be one of those 80 or not. I'll see what the results are. I'm not saying do it or don't do it. I'm just saying I wonder what happens if they do it, and I wonder what it is that is motivating the choices that are being made. That's all.
Well, Marcia brings up an excellent point in the, when you talk about throw the virus out the window for a second and just talk about another ailment that someone may have. If you have asthma, for instance, that's extremely severe, scuba diving might not be for you. And you could do it and you can take a chance, or you may say, you know what, I'm not going to engage in that activity because I have a predilection toward having a major issue with my self-health.
Right.
At some point, I think we will be forced to face the music because, Marcel, as you say, this thing isn't going away completely. You're not going to eradicate it completely. It will never be extinct, just like any other flu.
No, there's going to be COVID-20 and COVID-21 and 22, and
just like every other flu that that
course,
clearly not as severe. But they always pop up a new strain.
They're all going to be different.
At some point, personal accountability will have to be faced, and people will just have to be told to make their own decision as to whether they want to engage in an activity, or you're just saying, you know what, we're never having communal events ever again on the face of the planet, and that's it. I mean, it's just
Patrick,
not.
can I retort on that? Because
please.
Clearly, there's also some point here where it's also evident that people listen to certain narratives that they decide to consume, if you will. However, there's also a lot of misconceptions and fundamental misunderstandings that the biggest issue with any virus like this, and all viruses become a pandemic becomes an endemic. You know what I mean? It's kind of how it goes. However, that said, the biggest issue with this one is while it's a very easy one to kill, it's an envelope virus, okay? But it's also very aggressive, and the new strains are even more aggressive. Now, the biggest issue with that is, as you say, you can decide if I have asthma, I'm not going to go fucking scuba diving, right? Great. The biggest issue is, since we have one of the most fucked up healthcare systems in the world, is that most people with underlying issues have no fucking idea they have an underlying issue. They don't know they have heart disease. They don't know they have this. They don't know they have that. So somebody else making decisions about them that may be able to carry something could pass it to these people that don't know they had an issue. My first heart attack was at 30 fucking years old. You wouldn't think at 30 years old that I could do anything to myself to have 100% fucking blockage, but I did. Did I know about it? No. Why? Was I going to cardiologist at 30? No. But majority of the people, it's an underlying health condition that they're unaware of, that it becomes an issue. So it isn't always, you may think, okay, I feel great, I'm good, I'm going to go do this. You're unaware.
Yeah, but Chris, how do we take responsibility for that? You know what I mean? Like,
no, we don't.
That's like saying the drive-through guy at McDonald's should know better.
All I was doing was retorting to the idea that if you know that you have an issue, great, you can go do that. If you don't know you have an issue, it won't work out. I lived a long time. I did 10 years in Sarasota County. I'm well versed on how fucking different the counties in Florida are. It's insanity. Part of it's New York South, and the part of it's redneck Central. And it fucking is.
No, I mean, there's literally parts of Florida that I'm sure don't even know that there's a virus. They don't know who the president is. They don't know anything. They don't know what's going on.
Dead middle of the
they just don't care.
Yeah.
Honestly,
no, I mean, there's been racetracks that I've been to in the last year, because I've been at racetracks multiple times in the last year. And there have been restaurants and gas stations and stores and hotels around those racetracks where you haven't even seen a mask. I mean, there's nobody in a mask. There's no such thing as social distancing. These people haven't got a clue that there's something going on, right? And so I get it. I mean, there's definitely that. But, I don't know. I'm still, I want to end this side of our conversation because it's just boring. But I think that we all are going to have our opinions. My only opinion is I don't want to see any more people lose their businesses. And, some people are fortunate in that they found buyers for their businesses or whatever. A lot of other people, because I talk to these people every single day. And Chris, I know you're at OSA. OSA is a great company. They're not going anywhere. But there are companies that are not going to survive this. And I don't want any more of those. And, so I want, if little trade shows make sense, I want little trade shows. If little concerts make sense, in festivals or in one-offs or in small regional tours. I want to do some of those, you know. I'm not saying Live Nation should open the floodgates tomorrow, because they're not gonna. They're
Don't
just
you
not
think
gonna.
we all feel like that?
Wait,
Don't
hold
you
on,
think
hold
we
on, hold on.
all want to get back safely
Wait.
and make a living and get back to what we love and not lose our
right.
livelihood, our businesses,
I will
and
end.
our friends. You know, we all want the same thing, Marcel.
I'll end my statements with this: that yes, a little trade show may save one, a little concert may save two, but no matter what you think you want about everybody to save their business, there's going to be a shitload that fold. It is what it is. I hate to fucking say it, but let's be realistic of what the future holds. Not everybody's going to come out of this.
No, of course not.
Story.
Of course not. No, and I know why. You know, trust me, I understand the metrics more than most people do, but because I talk to these people every day and have for 20 years. But, you know, at the same time, what I don't want is, you know, I don't want the boogeyman to control the narrative anymore. You know, I want facts and reality, and safety plays a very important role in all of this, but we can do this safely. We're not stupid. You know, we do know how to do it.
I guess that depends on which fucking narrative you decide to follow.
I mean,
I don't follow
ultimately,
any
we're
of
not. Ultimately, Marcel,
common sense.
we're not stupid. Unfortunately, it is the people that go to our shows and drink beer, and they're the ones that.
Well, and
I don't know that they're
also
stupid
the money
either.
crunchers that decide what does and doesn't work. I mean, we might say, sure, it's great. We can put 30,000 or 40,000 people in an 80,000 seat stadium. And Chris said it far more eloquently than I. Sometimes you just can't afford to keep it open under the restrictive conditions. And you know, yeah, who knows where you go.
I hate to say it, but ignorance is systemic. Ignorance is systemic. This country proves it over and over again.
Chris,
I don't know.
Chris makes it.
I like to believe in the positive side, and the fact that people have take some personal responsibility. People can go to a concert and not lick the railings and lick the urinals and stuff.
But they do.
Yeah,
but they do.
And so be it. So
and
be
then
it.
they sue the promoter.
They always will.
Look,
and people cut me off in traffic. People cut me off in traffic too.
History books still say Columbus discovers America. So you know what I mean? I go back to it. Ignorance is systemic.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Patrick?
Very early in the pandemic, on some interview thing I was doing, they were asking about, you know, where do you see this actually going? And I said, it's really unpopular to say, and it's a horrible thing to say, but you can bet your bottom dollar that at some point through the process of this, the economy will trump all, and we will be forced to make the very, very unpopular decision of whether or not we're going to decide that the economy is more important than grandma, and we're going to say goodbye. And that's the simple reality of this. If it's not going away, at some point we will hit that threshold of saying, well, it's gone away enough and the economy has suffered enough, so now we're going to take the chance.
I feel like we're kind of there. I feel like we're kind of there right now.
Very close to that, yeah, and indeed, and I think that's really why you know, of course, this week we're seeing, you know, some of the governors opening the states up and just taking the safety off and saying, you know what, we're going for it.
They're not taking the safety off necessarily. They're not taking the safety off.
Yeah, Texas, fine. Forget I fucking said it. But yeah, they've opened up. All right, so we'll change the verbiage there.
Yeah, but I mean, Florida's been wide open forever. And there's no mask mandate, but yet every time I go to a grocery store or a restaurant or a whatever I go to, people wear masks to go in and people wear masks to come out, and people walking around Publix are wearing a mask. You know, it generally, I think, like, we have to count on, you know, the common goodness of most people. And there's always going to be assholes on the road, in elevators, in airports, on airplanes, wherever we go, there's going to be assholes. There's never going to be a shortage of assholes.
Your county's Publix may be different than mine, but my Publix requires people to wear masks when they go into it.
My point was only that there's no state mandate for masks.
I agree, but you
yet,
made it
yet a
sound
lot
like-
of people still wear them, and most
Marcel,
people wear them.
Marcel, you made it sound like there's no mandate and everybody does it because
Perhaps that's what you heard. Perhaps that's what you heard, Marcia. That's not what I meant.
What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that stores have the right to make or not enforce the mask rules. The state does not have a mandate. Certain cities and counties and jurisdictions do.
Thank you for clarifying that, Marcia.
So that's another.
I get what you're saying.
That's another very valid and interesting point. And I think that this gets a little confused as well, particularly in the media, because and particularly I've traveled to Texas quite a bit for a bunch of projects in the last few months. And, the people I speak to are always like, oh, wow, that's great. You went to Texas. It's wide open. How was it? And it's like, well, yeah, there's no, the mandates are less restrictive, but it's still very conscientious in that there's really nowhere that you go in Texas where there isn't a sign, at the very least, of the suggestion that it's preferred if you do this.
Same in Florida, Patrick. Same in Florida. That's what I'm saying.
And that's
given
what I'm
the opportunity, most people behave like grown-ups. And
I think
you're always going to have assholes, no matter.
Yeah,
what.
I think that it gets a little skewed in the media that it's just this wild west of
they're a bunch of
don't
yahoos.
give a shit, and it's not really the case. There's
I
still
also have to think of Greg Abbott. He needed something to get the heat off him about the fire or about the power, electricity, the water, all that shit. So this was, there was no reason.
That's an angle. That's an angle, Matt.
I mean, but there's no reason for him on a Tuesday to be like, you know what, we're just going to open everything up.
Maybe the reason is maybe he was working on that for weeks. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what these politicians are thinking or doing. I mean, if we've learned anything in the last 18 months or 12 months or 15 or whatever it is, politicians are assholes, period. Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, I don't care what you are. You're an asshole. Politicians are not out for our best interest, period. They want to get votes and they want to get elected, and that's about it. Yes, Bob.
Yeah,
I hear common sense coming.
I know. I've got to leave in a couple of minutes, and of course I've been listening to this, and I totally agree with how bad it could be. At the same time, I'm talking to some of the greatest intelligentsia that I know. And bottom line is, what I have learned is how to run my company slimmer than ever before. That when things start to move, I'm going to really have an angle on it. That the producers of equipment have never had this much time to make innovation about to happen. And we sit on that as a cusp. So if by chance and when this happens, and maybe it is 2022, but you know what? I've got few gigs now. I'm going to have more in the fall. I'm lucky because I live in a state with a moat, and you guys might be coming to see me sooner than your situation gets better. And people do want one-offs here because they love Hawaii. But that not even withstanding, understand that there's a huge wave of innovation about to happen. And rather than getting caught in, how it can be bad. You've had this.
Do you guys have those Source 4 Fresnel adapters?
Hey, Fetto.
That's pretty funny.
Mute your mic.
Sorry. Hold on.
Hey, who on the call has Source 4?
Working here. I'm working here.
Ask Carmen. He was in a beautiful speech. He got interrupted.
Jeff Mateer has some, Fetto. Come on. I want a commission. He's the middle guy.
He's rubbing it in.
Let's go back to it. Guys, it's time to figure out what it is and what you're going to do to pick up with this. Because I've already resigned myself to the fact that I've spent a lot of money and I've mortgaged more than I would care to. But I'm going to make it through this. And knowing that, I'm going to excel now, because I'd be foolish having made that bet and walk into a scenario that I barely get by. It's really time to pick it up. It's time to look at what's out there.
Thank you.
And let's go to town. And yeah, if we get let down, you got that in the back of your mind anyway. But wasn't that true when you first decided to start a company? You weren't even sure if you were going to make it. You're at zero again. It's time to start over. It's time to talk to a manufacturer and say you need a little bit better terms because nobody else has taken the bet. everything is negotiable now, including your future. And that is why I'm going to conclude this conversation.
No, Bob, you know what? That's very wise. And, again, maybe I have a little bit of a different perspective than some people do, because I do travel and I do meet with a lot of companies. And last week I met with 2 companies in Texas, 1 in Chicago. And in this industry, there are a number of problems. And I wrote a blog about it today. If you want to go to LinkedIn, you can find my blog or on my website on GearSource. But I wrote a blog about it. The banks are trying to cripple our industry right now. The banks don't like our industry anymore, and they're trying to pull their money out of our industry. And so what they're doing is they're looking for any little loophole in their contracts with these companies that they've loaned money to, even companies. And I've met with companies who have relatively small debt in comparison to the size of their business, maybe $3 million on a 12 or $15 million business. And the bank is putting heat on them. They want their money now. And it's not because they haven't paid their principal or interest. They've paid every single principal and interest payment. It's because of some wacky covenant somewhere in the agreement. And they're trying to pull their money out based on that. And, there's one particular person in the industry who's a relatively large 100 million plus company who I spoke with today. And their banking situation is they're big enough where they've got a banker who then sells the paper to 4 other bankers. And one of those smaller bankers who took a small piece of the paper is the one causing all the problems right now. And, so, we're fighting not only against this lack of revenue and, the fact that Live Nation can't book shows or won't book shows or doesn't have the liability waivers they want or whatever it is, but we're also fighting against time, because a bank who you owe, even if it's, 1/10 of what your normal revenue is, they can close you. They can shut you down and make you start selling off your assets and doing all of these bad things. And so I'm with you, Bob. Like, I want Bob to be able to do shows again somehow. And I think Bob is smart enough to not want to kill anyone.
Let me tell you that. It hasn't come out yet, but I did a PSA locally. And really what they were looking for is the younger, we're not represented in this house, but it's the younger folk that feel like this doesn't apply to them because old people die from this. And that's really the problem. And so they came to me and said, look, we need somebody to be a spokesman. And rather than, if I just tell people this is what they should do, they're not going to listen to me. So they let the camera roll. And I said, you don't want me sidelined. You want me busy. Because when I'm busy, magic happens. It's the moment of your life.
When people are happy, smiling.
So guys, wear your mask. Let's just do this thing. Let's get past this. We got to buckle down for a short time before we get back to some serious fun.
Yeah. By the way, notice, I think most people on this call and most people who know me know which direction I go politically and all of this stuff. But the thing is, I've never once said, oh, I hate this mask. I'm not wearing it on the airplane. I wear the mask the entire time, even in the bathroom when I'm on an airplane. And do I think they're comfortable? No. Do I love the smell of my own breath? No. But I believe in whether it's the optics or the medical proof or whatever it is, I'm okay with it. I'm totally good. If masks are going to get us back in business, I'm really good with that. Right. So, I want to see businesses survive. And Chris, you're right. Businesses are going to fail. Many have. Some good friends of mine have failed, and some have managed to sell their businesses, but others not so much. Bye, Bob. Bob, we're not going to get to do freaking show and tell today.
I feel like I did it earlier today.
You did.
Everything with you is show and tell. It's always a story. I don't know that I know a better storyteller than Bob Harmon.
It's always good.
Storyteller.
Sure. Look for my posts on Facebook. I love doing them. And usually they're on.
I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I can't.
But
hey, Bob, take care.
Thanks, Bob. You put us back on track, man.
Aloha, buddy.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Take care. Aloha.
I gotta bounce, everybody. Thank you, Marcel, and I'll drop you a note if you have 20 minutes later tonight, bud.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for not showing us the light, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks for not showing anyone the light, Greg.
It launches on the 17th.
Greg, we
Meet with
can't
Louis
spec what
Long
we
for
don't
Salesman of the Year.
I'll be on that webcast.
Be in touch, Greg.
I'm calling Samsung. Anyway,
one thing we should all think about, the guys who ride the buses, I'm petrified of the bus drivers not wanting to wear masks.
You're petrified of everything, Matt.
I'm not. I just want the bus
petrified
drivers
of
to
like
wear
you're
effing masks.
petrified of scotch that isn't 12-year. You know, you're petrified.
No,
of
I'm not
everything.
Herrick.
Wait. I gotta interrupt for half a second because it's somewhat time sensitive. I'm running out of time, and it's potentially positive momentum. This might even be a Matt question. I was about to write to Brad, but I know he's sort of the national guy for this, and I was wondering if there's a New York person. I was in a chat. I was in a chit chat at Javits today.
Talk to me. Hit me up offline. I'll put you in touch. We don't need to waste.
Because Anne is not responding to me, and I have somebody at Javits who wants to talk to someone.
All right, great. Let's talk offline, and I'll plug it through the.
That's huge.
Okay, I've got to get off. So Matt, if you could just let me know when you're done with this call.
Yeah. I'll call you.
Thanks.
Bye, Diana.
Bye, Diana.
See you soon.
Chris,
Hey,
how's
Matt.
the car this week? Asen.
It's
Are
good.
we driving?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually
You're driving it.
Yeah, I detailed it underneath yesterday. All the fluids changed. Ran it for a good 3 hours, hard, and man, it runs great.
You found the missing bolt.
Yeah, I actually found one that fit. It was the right size, but it didn't match the other 6, so I had to replace them all. I'm lame. It didn't match. I had to change it. But it runs great now. It's awesome. New tires next week because these tires are going to be done by Sunday.
Learn to drive, son.
That's what you need to get one for your son now.
No, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I just got a text from Greg. He said, "Fuck you, Dearson. I'm never showing you my light." No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, that could happen.
He didn't say that.
Yeah, Dearson will then go, I'll never use a Martin product ever again.
There's no other options out there, Greg.
You look very bothered, Patrick.
What's that?
You look very bothered by that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lights out there.
Patrick's story today made me laugh. There was just a lot of good shit in it today.
I can't follow it anymore, Patrick. You're getting a little out there, man.
What I like about it is it's a dump. So there's like 20 of them. I don't have to like trickle through it throughout the day.
All it is insomnia. Around 3 a.m. I wake up, I can't fall asleep again. And I go, all right, fine, let's become a meme lord for a minute.
It's good bathroom reading material.
All it is me pontificating from the squatty potty.
Absolutely. I love it.
Stuff, man. And I like that it's non-biased.
I'm hearing more manufacturers are out doing like open houses and stuff. And I know Steve Warren, I know your guys like Brad White's been running around showing the console, but I heard other companies are starting to do that too. Is Loader still here? Loader left.
They've been going down really well, and I tell you, Marcel, this morning I called an LD who also has a production company, and he was pointing out, he was saying, look, we're going to unlock before the shows are back in place. You guys are in a really good position for the next 2 or 3 months to have some great open houses, personal demos, and it's true because the shows are not going to come back till at earliest, sort of midsummer. But they're going to start letting us get together and get to face to face, and God, I'm so looking forward to being face to face with people again.
Who knew that the UK would have the most aggressive, show opening schedule?
Well,
That's
let's see.
Shocking.
Let's see if they hold it, but I don't think they'll. Well, I just don't think people will put up with it for much longer. Because I have a lot of sympathy with what you're saying. I mean, I hear what Marsha's saying, and a lot of people have died. It's incredible. But also all these young people have had their lives taken away from them. I'm amazed that they're not rioting on the street. When we were young, I was out doing anti-fascist, anti-fascist marches. I was out there all the time. And okay, that's because I'm not surprised they're upset, because I'm sorry, we're letting, people of a different color die in Africa every day. Far more people are dying, some old white people. So it's a complicated issue, about why this is being done.
Yeah, I will say, Marcel, you
lock
are
it.
right, because I did hear that Martin is trying to do demos in New York
Yeah.
after that
No, I've heard a
product
few
launch.
companies. I've heard a few companies that are starting to book like, road shows, basically showing off their new products. Because, manufacturers have continued to innovate, thank God, because we are going to want some new things to come out of this at some point. Although I know a lot of lighting companies, rental companies, and I know Giovanni's one of them, where they've got lights that they bought at the end of 2019 that are sitting in brand new cases or brand new boxes.
I got them.
haven't
Try
been out yet.
higher. Please take
Yeah,
them.
I mean that's the thing. Like this is a
Marcel.
scary thing right now. This is a really scary thing because people bought a lot of shit at the end of 2019, the best year ever for our industry.
Yeah.
And then we closed for all of 2020 and still, but yet lighting manufacturers continue to innovate because they have to. And so I don't know, man, there's going to be like a weird thing that happens, a clash of what's in stock versus what's in manufacturers.
I know
I don't
that,
know.
within the last month, both Chauvet and GLP both did little demos in Vegas at a small shop in Vegas. Nothing big, but they're out there trying to show their stuff.
Well, did you guys read
that's
that?
good.
Did you guys end up reading that Leroy Bennett article? How he basically said, for us as designers, it's going to be next to impossible to get the latest and greatest. You're going to see tours with like BL 3500s again because it's
He's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he
and
is and he
should be.
isn't.
Yeah.
He is and he isn't. There's a reason that Mike Cannon bought into a dry hire cross rental shop. I mean, I believe the same thing, and I've been saying this for 6 months, is that I think there's a huge opportunity out there for entrepreneurial cross rental companies to say, hey, I'll step up and I'll get that newest technology and we'll rent it to you for your tour because I know you have no CapEx. And so I think there's an opportunity.
But the
and
question
maybe not
is-
in mass numbers, but there is an opportunity.
I think it's a very slow roll in that regard because you're going to be.
It is a slow. We have to get through, this summer and roll it from there.
It's the markup though that's going to kill us in our budgets. It's like, as much as I love Giovanni and his company and John and all those guys, and they have gear I want, if I'm cross renting it from, my vendor is Four Walls, let's say, or Christie, whatever, and they cross rent from Mainlight, they're going to mark that shit up. So it's like it affects the design.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So
I've
instead of
definitely been
60
involved
lights,
in a
you
lot
take
of
out
those
40.
deals. Yeah.
Listen,
I've been involved in a lot of those deals, and if X light is worth $150 a week, you're going to get it at $150 a week, and Mainlight's going to take a little bit less to allow a small margin for that vendor. And that's how IDIS has always done his business. They've supported those other companies.
Mike Cannon doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
No,
well, he better learn.
No, our business model is still staying the same. We don't usually rent to end users. We rent to other production companies for a reason.
Notice how he threw the word usually in there?
Well, I mean, also, you guys have lights from like the early 2000s still in your shop. So I mean,
and that's
they
why
have lights from the 1980s in their shop, but they also have lights from 2020.
And that's why we're selling off some of those used lights.
Do you still have PC beams?
I don't think we ever got into the PC beams.
Oh, it's such a good
Morpheus doesn't even have PC beams.
No, we never liked that light.
It was a great light.
Oh, do you mean the studio beam PC?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fedo, you were talking about the Morpheus PC beam. He was talking about the studio beam PC.
Studio beam PC.
I knew which one Matt was talking about. That's why I was going.
So did I. So did I. Yeah.
No. Sorry, the high-end studio beam PC.
Yeah.
That's a great light, man.
It goes back to Craig Burrows. Every once in a while you push out a turd.
Exactly.
That wasn't a turd. The studio spot.
Hey, Marcel.
I still have working studio spots.
Marcel, before we go, a while ago in a show and tell, I showed you guys a rock a friend sent me that was luminous. So if you can see in the background, the rock under black light, it's like glowing green.
Oh, that's cool.
What the hell? What is it?
It's a rock. Remember I said in show and tell about a month ago, a friend sent me a rock that was luminous under black light. I need to buy a black light. Well, I bought a black light. And this
And
is
it
the
really
rock.
is luminous.
Looks cool.
It's just a regular rock, though.
It's just a regular fucking rock.
From Chernobyl.
Crazy. Chernobyl.
It's
Details.
this is the rock under a regular light. Under, you know, I mean,
Crazy.
it's striated and it's luminous. It's a phosphorescent, you know, phosphorus and luminescence does occur in nature. It's not all.
Now you're using way too many big words. You're losing me. Slow down.
So
Slow
your
down.
friend
Marsha.
gave you a gift.
Had
and
too much
told you
wine
you
in it.
needed to buy a light for it.
It's pretty cool the way it glows under black light. So I wanted to show everyone.
I think your whole office is looking pretty cool, Marsha.
Yeah, it is.
thanks,
It's looking
Steve.
grand.
Tape 2 pieces
I'm
of
loving
zip
it.
cord to that damn thing. You can power your computer.
Thanks, Steve. Say what?
Tape 2 pieces of zip cord to that thing. You can power your computer.
Pretty much. Jill said she was gonna send me some more rocks like that. We'll see. I think a mobile under black light,
A black light rock garden. That's what you need.
or
All right.
a light box, a UV light box.
I have to go eat food. Bye,
Have fun.
everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Good to see
Chris,
everybody.
thank
Good
you
to
for
see you all.
the.
Thanks for
for
joining,
the
Chris.
Wonderful discussion tonight, Chris. I appreciate
Have
it.
fun, guys.
Always.